Now, keep in mind, kids, the law of cosines is the law of cosines. So the specific problem doesn't matter. So we will run through this quiz, and you just need to make sure you know what we're doing here. All right, so the quiz we're doing, we happen to have all three sides of the triangle. And so we're finding the angles, right?
Yeah.
So, first thing you gotta do, Allie, is just decide which angle you're gonna find first, remembering that it does not matter. So, which one did you find first?
I found angle L, and I got that one right.
All right, let's start with here then. Let's see what we can do with that. So she said I chose to find angle L. So angle L is right here. So obviously we don't have any pairs with no angles, so we're going to use law of cosines. Out here then, you're putting cosine L. If you chose to find a different angle first, you would put cosine whatever out there. But we're doing cosine L, which means on this side of the equation, all by itself, is the side that goes with L, so 49, 7 squared.
Yeah.
And then everything in the middle is a combination of these other two sides. So we'll have 5 squared plus 8 squared minus 2 times 5 times 8 times cosine L.
Yeah.
Now, I went ahead and put the squares on there because these are such little numbers, I can just do them in my head, right? But it's 7 squared, 5 squared, and 8 squared. Now, I'm going to go ahead and clean a little bit of it up. So I'm going to go ahead and add these two together. So that is 89. And multiply these, so that would be 80. And then I'm going to resist that horrible temptation to subtract these. Don't. You can't. Instead, you're going to do this, right? I'm going to subtract this over to here. So that's going to give me negative 40 equals negative 80 cosine L. So cosine L equals 40 over 80. You can reduce that certainly to 1/2. It's kind of automatic, but you don't need to, because now you're going to the calculator and you're going to do what?
Direct or decimal.
Second cosine 40 divided by 80, and it just comes out to be a perfect little 60. That's kind of amazing. Doesn't usually happen that way. You usually get a decimal, but this one came out to be 60. Now we can use the law of sine. Is that what you did?
Yeah, I just messed it up.
Okay, so we don't have to use the law of sines. We could repeat, let's say, find W doing this same process. But mostly we like the law of sines. It's easier for us. So we'll just say sine 60 over 7. Some of us still aren't getting these fractions right. The angle and its opposite side. So 60 over 7 equals, which angle did you find next?
Sine O.
So sine O over 8. Yep. So that's set up exactly perfectly.
Yeah.
Now, cross multiply. So we have 8 sine 60. 8 sine 60 equals 7 sine 0, or not 0, O. And then divide both sides by 7.
Yeah, I don't know what, because like I had that, I did that equation.
I know. I think I gave you credit for that. Now type that in. What happens when you type that in? Now what do we have to type to get that?
Second sine.
Second sine. 8 sine 60, close parentheses, divided by 7. And I got 81.79.
Yeah. I don't know.
But you got it now?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, since we got a 60 and an 81.79, we can subtract and get 38.21 for that one. Okay? So that's that. If you are still having issues about your, you know, if you have an issue with your particular quiz, come on in during flex. We can go over it. Now, let's get out that practice quiz I just gave you. Because tomorrow,
We have a late start tomorrow.
so I don't see you tomorrow.
No.
Oh, Rebel, another Monday quiz for you people. So Monday, we'll have a area quiz. Now, the quiz probably will not have 5 questions on it. Tell the truth, I haven't written the quiz yet, so I don't know. But it's going to be something similar to this. Won't have more than 5. It's going to have some kind of some number 1 to 5 area problems, just like these. Okay? So here we go. First one, we got a triangle. You are finding the area, kids. That's all you're doing. You're finding the area. So this looks a lot like the one I just did. I have all 3 sides. But on that quiz, I was finding the angles. On this quiz, I'm finding the area. So you have a note card, which you can use on this quiz, because that's what you have on your note card so far, the area formulas. So which area formula do you think would be appropriate for this triangle?
I did cosine to find an angle.
Okay, now, okay, so I'm hearing lots of things. I'm hearing somebody say I could do what I just did and find an angle, and then I could do 1/2 side sine. Absolutely. But kids, there's an easier way, and if you have a note card so you don't have to memorize a bunch of stuff, use it. What do you have on your note card that would make you able to find this area just in the snap of a finger? Yes, Hero's formula.
Oh.
Hero's formula says that we can find the area by multiplying 4 things together and taking the square root. Now, look at your note card. What's that S stand
It's
for?
a semi-perimeter.
Semi-perimeter. So what's the perimeter? Let's start with that. The perimeter is...
22.
What's the perimeter?
22.
22. So the semi-perimeter then would be 11. Half. Half the perimeter. Now, your formula says you start with S, which is 11, and then what do you do for each of these? What does the formula say you do?
Multiply all the
They
sides.
don't multiply.
S minus.
You take S minus
Each
each side, right? S minus each side. So 11 minus 6, 11 minus 9, 11 minus 7. Okay, now some of you are acting like you've never done this before. Guys, get that note card completed and know what all the letters mean. You can't write that on the note card. The note card has just the formulas. So you gotta know S stands for semi-perimeter, which is half the perimeter. Okay?
Where'd you get the 5, 2, and 4?
Okay, somebody tell me, where did you get the 5, 2, and 4?
You multiply each side by 11, like the semi-perimeter.
No, you don't
Or so
multiply.
you subtract.
Subtract.
Okay.
So if you look, do you have your formula written down?
I'm writing it down.
Oh. Okay.
Here, I have them.
So if you missed that day, then you probably need to watch the video. If you didn't miss that day, it should be in your notes, because we did it in the notes. All right, so now we're going to multiply all those together into the square root. Now, when possible, I am going to give both exact and decimal answers. That isn't going to be possible for every problem, but it's certainly possible here. So, 11 times 5 times 2 times 4. So this would be the square root of 440. So exactly that would be, let's see, 440 is 4 times 110.
11 times 5 times 2
I know that's what I did.
So that's going to be 2 times the square root of 110. That would be the exact answer. Now, what would be the decimal answer?
20.98.
Well, what's the square root of 440? 20.98. And on both of those, it will be square feet. Yeah. Now, on your quiz, some of the problems will say find exact answer and some will say find decimal answer. So I'm doing both just so we practice both. You will not be doing both on your quiz on the same problem, okay? All right. Now, what do we have in number 2?
Oh, you have a circle with a triangle.
Well, there's a name for this. What do we call this? It's a sector. So on your note card, you have a formula for the area of a sector. What does that formula tell you to do to find the area of the sector? Angle over 360. So 80 over 360 times pi r squared. Well, r is 6, so that'll be 36 pi. It's right there on the note card. You have everything you need. You just plug it in. Now, if we're doing this exactly, then I'm going to start reducing things here. So I can cancel out the 8's, right? Or I mean the zeros, cancel out the zeros. There's 8 over 36. Actually, I don't think I want to reduce that because I have 8 over 36 times 36 pi over 1.
Cancel the 36.
Yeah, I'll just cancel
8
those,
pi.
and my answer is 8 pi,
Yeah.
and it would be square inches. So that one worked out great.
Bless you. And then decimal.
And then the decimal answer, if you need the decimal answer,
25.133.
would be, and you can get the decimal answer by multiplying all this if you want. Since I already did this, I'll just do that. 25.13, you say?
Yep.
All right. Now what?
Isn't it like the sine, angle?
Now we have a triangle. So we're looking at our note card. And given this situation, what formula do you think we should be using?
The sine.
1/2 side, sine. That is exactly right. Because, groupies, isn't that the information that we have? Don't we have 2 sides in the included angle? This one we cannot do exactly. This one will be just a decimal answer. So your area will be 1/2 10 times 11 times sine 52.
Yeah.
Could we just make that 5?
Oh yeah, but I mean, you're still gonna end up typing it in your calculator. Yeah, this is gonna be 55 sine 52, but I can't do the sine 52 without a calculator. So I'm just gonna type that in. And I get 43.34. And I didn't draw my picture, that is square centimeters. And again, kids, that's because the given information was this. You had 2 sides and the included angle. That is the best case scenario. You won't always have that, but when you do, oh my gosh, 1/2 side. All right, next one, another triangle. that you, Mr. Green?
Yes, ma'am. I hope I'm right.
You are.
Wow.
Mr. Green says, well, this is not a perfect situation like this one was. When you have two sides and included angle, that is perfect. We don't have that here. So Sam says, let's use the law of sines to find another side so that you do have two sides and the included angle. So which side do you want to find, Sam? You got B and C as your choices.
I did C.
You want to find C. All right, so he's going to say, hopefully, sine 36 over 10
Yep.
equals sine 64 over C. That makes sense to everybody? This is not going to give you the area. This is going to give you side C. All right, so C sine 36 equals 10 sine 64. We're going to divide by sine 36. And that's going to be C. So
15.3.
10 sine 64 divided by sine 36. What'd you say?
15.3.
Let's say 15.29.
Okay.
Yeah, I got that.
So C turned out to be 15.29.
Wait, so since the C's at the top, is the C the like the is that C the bottom is C?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah, the opposite side. That's how we label our triangles, remember?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a discussion.
Now, how am I going to find the area?
Add them all together. Wait, couldn't you just find angle B though too?
Well, I need angle B, don't I?
Yeah.
Okay, well, how am I going to find angle B?
64 plus 36 and minus that
Yep,
180.
subtract. So is that 80?
Yeah.
Now, you should be getting so excited. What do you have right here, guys?
All the angle.
You have a side
Side.
and another side,
Mhm.
and the angle in between them?
Mhm.
That's perfect. That's what you want. So you have two sides and the angle in between them. Now, back at some point, Sam decided to find side C. He could have found side B. And then he would have had these two sides and that angle, and he could have found the area that way. So it doesn't matter, but you needed another side, Sam. You're exactly right. And you found it with the law of sines. So my area is going to be, doing it the way we did it, it's going to be 1/2 10 times 15.29 times sine 80. Two sides and the included angle. I got 75.29. And did I have any units on that one? Inches?
What'd you get?
So that's an example of a problem where you had to do a little work before you could actually find the area. Everybody got it? Good? 1/2 side sine. 1/2 side sine. That's on your note card. You need two sides and the included angle. If you don't have that, then find one of the other sides so that you can do it. All right, and then the last one, it's going to be another two-step problem. Because we're finding the area of what we call the segment, that shaded part right there. This is 100 and this is 6 millimeters. Now, this is a circle, so obviously if that's 6, this is also 6, right? I am totally excited when I see this, because didn't we just talk about that?
Yeah.
So that would give me the area of the triangle, which is not the area I'm looking for. I'm gonna go ahead and find it. So the area of the triangle is 1/2, side, sine 100.
But
The second.
if we wanted to, since it's an isosceles triangle and that it shows that the first angle is 100, couldn't we tell it each angle is 40 degrees?
Yep. The base angles. Yep. Now you could absolutely do that. There's no reason to do that, but you could. You sure could. Sure could. So I got for this one 17.73 square millimeters. Now that is the triangle, so I'm not going to write that down in the answer blank. But can I use that to help me find what I do want?
Yes.
Do you remember our strategy? We have to find the area of the sector, the whole thing. And then if we subtract out that number, it'll give us the shaded. So, what is the shape of the whole thing? What is that?
Semicircle.
That's not a semicircle. That's a sector, kids. Isn't this a piece of pie right here?
Yeah.
That's a sector. So the area of the sector, what's that formula again? The area of the sector? Angle over 360 times pi. Oh, it's another 36 pi. That's nice. Right? Angle over 360 times pi r squared. So I can cancel out the zeros. So I have 1036 times 36 pi over 1. So that's just going to be 10 pi. And what is that decimally?
331.42.
And so then how do we find the area of the segment? We'll take 31.42 and subtract 17.73. Does that make sense to everybody? We take the whole sector, subtract out the white part, and don't we get the black part? Yep. So that's 13.69 in millimeters squared. Okay, so the quiz tomorrow will be no bigger than this. I haven't written it yet, so I'm not sure, but there are problems like that. Okay? If you have your note card and you come, well, I guess it will be Monday morning, so you're going to have to come with some mental awakeness. You will be absolutely fine. Right? Okay, so let's pick up then with the new, what we have new here, which is some volumes. So these are going to be added to your note card also, the volume formulas. You probably remember them from geometry. And I've left a space on the notes here for you to write in the formulas, but please do add them to your note card also. So, first one we've got is what we call a rectangular solid. Okay, so here's our box basically. The rectangular solid is your box. And you're going to find the volume of the box. Does anybody remember how to find the volume of a box? Length times width times height. So the volume for a rectangular solid is length times width times height. Does it make any difference which one you call which? No, we're not going to get all hung up on that. You're going to multiply all three numbers together, all three dimensions together. This is a three-dimensional figure. So the volume is 90. Ah, man, I wish I could put units on here. Let's make that inches because we got to get in the habit of our volumes being cubic units. Is that all right with everybody?
This way.
Now, let's look at B. What is B? What shape is this? This is a cone. This is a cone. And we want to know the volume of the cone. I'm going to go ahead and put units on here. I'm making these up, but go ahead and add those. The volume of a cone. How do we find the volume of a cone? Okay, you are so close. It's 1/3 pi r squared h. That's exactly right. So your volume is 1/3 pi r squared h, where r stands for radius and h stands for height. Yep. So 1/3 pi r squared h. So it doesn't get any easier than this, kids. 1/3 pi r squared h will be 1/3 times pi times 16 times 8. So if we're doing it exactly, we're going to have 128 thirds pi. 16 times 8 divided by 3, and then your pi.
Just asking for the formula.
What's the matter?
He was just asking for the
I got it now.
Oh,
Make
okay.
things friends.
All right. So that would be the exact answer. Agreed?
Yes, ma'am.
And then the decimal answer would be 134.04. And the unit on those would be cubic centimeters, because I added centimeters to my picture. Any question about that? Okay. All right. C says, find the volume of a sphere with a radius of 6. I'm terrible at drawing spheres, so that's why I didn't draw the picture. Probably wouldn't be able to tell what it is. What is a sphere? Well, it's not. It's more than a circle. It's a 3-dimensional circle, so it's like a ball.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, a regular round ball, like basketball. That's a sphere. So, anybody happen to know the volume formula for a sphere?
1/2.
No.
Oh.
4/3 pi r cubed. 4/3 pi r cubed is the formula for the volume of a sphere. So, if the radius of our sphere is 6 cubed, is that 216? You can double check that for me. And then if I'm doing this exactly, I have 4/3 times 216/1. I think 3 goes into 216. Yeah. And then 4 times 72 is 288 pi. So if I'm doing this exactly, that would be the volume. Some of you just get totally freaked out when we start doing arithmetic. Just relax. This is 6 cubed. So I got to multiply 4/3 times 216. If I'm doing this exactly. Obviously, if I'm doing it in a decimal, I just type it in. But if I'm doing it exactly, I have to multiply these together. You can either go straight across and then divide, or I chose, and this is a personal choice, I chose to go ahead and cancel the 3 into the 216. that gave me 72. So then I multiplied 4 times 72. And I still have the pi on the end. So then my decimal answer would be, did you get 904.78? Good? Everybody okay? Alright, what's the shape in D? It's D. D is a cylinder. Yeah, D is a cylinder. We got a cylinder, and this dimension is 15, and this dimension is 10. Anybody remember the formula for the volume of a cylinder? Jacob?
Pi r squared times height.
It is pi r squared h. That's exactly right. So for a cylinder, it's pi r squared h. Now, is your nice teacher expecting you to memorize these formulas?
You
No.
have your note card.
You gotta memorize, or you gotta know what shape you're talking about. That's a cylinder. Then you look on your note card, and then you just plug numbers into the formula. It's easy. So volume, pi r is 10, so that's gonna be 100 times 15. So if we're doing this exactly, it'll be 1,500 pi cubic centimeters. Because it's a volume. Volumes are cubic. Areas are squared. So the quiz you take on Monday, everything will be square units because you're in areas. If we want a decimal approximation for this, then, oh my, did you get 4,712.39?
Yes.
Now we have kind of a tricky one. We have an ice cream cone. And you're gonna find the volume of the whole thing, the whole ice cream cone. So what is that going to involve? You're gonna have to find the volume of the cone itself, right? And then on top, you have a, well, it's, we don't call it semi-sphere, we call it hemisphere. But it's half the sphere.
Yeah.
Like on Earth, you got the northern hemisphere, that's what we've got. So this is gonna be a 2-part volume. So let's find the volume of the cone first. It doesn't matter which one you find first, I'll just do the cone first. So it says the height is 7, says the radius is 3. So the volume of the cone, what's our formula? 1/3 pi r squared h. So that will be 1/3 pi. Now r squared will be 9 times 7. So what happens when I multiply 1/3 times 9 times 7?
21.
So 21 pi for the cone.
Yeah.
Is that okay with everybody? We'll do it exactly first, then we'll come back and do it with our calculator later. Now, what about the, and I don't care what you call it, we're gonna do, it's half the sphere. Your ice cream cone is a perfect half sphere, your ice cream on top of the cone. So what is the volume of a sphere?
4/3 pi r cubed.
So we have to take 1/2 of 4/3 pi r cubed. Would you agree with me? We have to take 4/3 pi r cubed and then take half of it. So what's our radius?
3.
So that's going to be 1/2 of 4/3 pi times 27, 3 cubed.
Get your 18.
Now, I'm just there's so much junk going on, I'm just going to multiply straight across. So I have 1 times 4 times pi times 27, so that's 108 pi over 6. 2 times 3 times 1 times 1. I think 6 actually goes into 108.
18 times.
Yeah, 18 times. So this works out just to be 18 pi.
There's no.
Wow, that's nice. So the cone is 21 pi, the ice cream is 18 pi, so the whole thing together would be 39 pi?
Yeah.
21 and 18?
Would it be square? Or just
And then the unit on it is the volume,
cube?
so it would be inches cubed. Yeah, it's these were inches. Now, if you're doing it decimally, you don't even need to, you don't need to go all the way and work all these things out. You can just type that right into your calculator and type this right into your calculator if you want. But since I've already done that, I'll just do 39 pi. Did you get 122.52 cubic inches
Yes.
as your decimal equivalent? Just got the decimal for 39 pi. Everybody good? All right, now we got a couple of word problems. Let's see. These shouldn't be any harder. You just have to draw your own picture probably. Let's see. The length of a box is 10. Its width is 4. Find its length if the volume is 90. Okay, so we have a box. You probably don't even need to draw it if you don't want
It's
to.
a rectangle.
But we got a box.
I still see it.
I see it goes here.
And we know that the length is 10 and the width is 4. And we want to find the height or the length. Find its length. That should say height. Sorry about that. Find its height. Yeah, I already told you the length. I gotta go back and do some revision on these. That should be. Okay. What do you think? Anybody have an idea? Length times width times height, that's our formula for volume. So volume equals 10 times 4 times x.
Yeah.
But in this case, they told me that the volume is 90. So 40x equals 90.
Yeah.
And x equals 90 over 40, which is a decimal 2.25. Is that right?
Yes.
And the unit on that
It's
would
centimeters
be
cubed.
not cubic centimeters. It would be just
Oh,
centimeters because it is just the dimension, right? The volume was cubic centimeters. This is going to be just 2.25 centimeters. You good? Everybody following along? Thinking, I am so glad I got up this morning and came into math class.
Yes, ma'am.
At 7:50 instead of 9:50. All right, So now we have a cylinder. And again, I don't know that you necessarily have to draw it. I'm going to go ahead and draw it. I have a cylinder. And I know that the radius is 6. And I have to find its height. And the volume is 90 pi. So what are you thinking?
1/3 pi r h.
It's a cylinder. Pi r squared h is our volume formula, right? For a cylinder. So pi times 36 times h, we don't know that, has to equal 90 pi. So I can divide by 36 pi. And the pi's will cancel. And let's see, 3 goes into that, 30 over 12, which is 6 goes into those. Is that 5 halves?
How you turn it in letters?
Okay. Everybody okay? What would the unit on that? That's the height, so that would be 5 halves feet. Now, you are going to have a calculator for this whole exercise, so I want everybody to get it out real quick. And most of you don't even need a calculator for this. I mean, obviously, we didn't need a calculator, but some of you are intimidated. We start throwing in 2-digit numbers and pies, and we get a little, So let's go back to this step where we had 90 over 36. All right, everybody with me? All right, I want you to do 90 divided by 36 on your calculator. Okay, now this came out to be a nice decimal, but they don't always, so let's pretend it didn't. You can turn that back into a fraction by pressing math, the math button, which is in the first column right under alpha. Press the math button, and then press enter twice.
Wait, where is it, man?
Right under the alpha in the first column. And you press,
See, why are we, I was doing this earlier.
and it'll turn it into a fraction. So, if you have to simplify something and you're not allowed to use a decimal approximation, you have to leave it exactly, your calculator will give you the exact fraction. Now, what it won't do is deal with the pi. So if there's a pi, you have to handle it separately. Don't put that in. But the numbers will always come out. So let's say we did another problem and we got, let's say 2010 over 6, okay? Or let's say 2010 over 65, make it even worse, okay? I know you can reduce that by hand, but your calculator will do it. So just press 2010 divided by 65 and see how it gives you that big ugly decimal. We don't want that decimal, so you just hit math and enter a couple of times, and this reduces to 402 over 13. Okay, so you can still have your exact answer without doing all of the arithmetic by hand. Okay, one more thing. It doesn't do radicals and it doesn't do irrational, it doesn't do any irrational numbers. So it doesn't do pi and it doesn't do radicals. So those have to be handled separately. But the plain numbers, like 210 over 65, that your calculator will do.
How did you do that again?
Tell him how we did it. What do we press? Just press the math button and enter twice. All right, next. Which holds more water? a spherical tank with a radius of 2 feet. So we're talking about a sphere with a radius of 2 feet. Or a cylinder
Make sure it turns off.
with a radius of 20 inches and a height of 30 inches. So we want to know which holds more water. So what will we need to do to answer that question?
Draw one picture.
Find the volume of each one,
Yes.
and then the biggest one wins. Okay? Now, there is a little bit of an issue here because this dimension is given in
Feet.
feet, and this one is given in inches. And if you're gonna make a comparison, you really need to have the same unit, right? So I think let's stick with feet, and let's change these. How would I change the inches into
Divided
feet?
by
What would I
12.
do? Divide by 12?
Yeah.
So 20 divided by 12, which I can either reduce by myself or let my calculator reduce. That would be what? 4 goes into both of those, so 5/3. And that's feet now. And then 30 inches would be 5/2 feet. And again, I'm reducing that just by dividing by 6, but if you want to type it in your calculator, it'll do the same thing for you. Okay? So here we go. Let's do the sphere. What's the volume of the sphere? Formula. 4/3 pi r cubed, which would be 8. 2 cubed. So that is 32 pi over 3. Exactly. And then 33.51 decimally, and that's cubic feet. Are you still with me? All right, that's the sphere. So now I'm going to do the cylinder. What's the formula for the cylinder? Pi r squared, and my r was 5/3 squared, times my height, which is 5/2. Remember, I can't be using the 20 and the 30 because those are inches. Then I'd have to convert cubic inches into cubic feet. I'd rather just use the fractions. All right, so what do we got? Multiplying it all together, it's pi times 25/9 times 5/2. I got 125 over 18 pi. So what you got? And decimally, 125 pi divided by 18, 21.82.
Yes.
So if you need the biggest tank, you want to hold the most water, you're going to choose the sphere. All right, we'll pause there for today. Homework's going to be due the middle